accounts, closed accounts are on your credit report. The payment history on all of those accounts is on your credit report. The balance on those accounts are on your credit report as well. So you got the balances for those accounts. They're on your credit report to you guys. If you file bankruptcy, that's going to be on your credit report, and it's going to stay on your credit report for quite some time. So if you're looking at your accounts too, it's going to have the limits. So whatever your limit is, it'll have a high limit or the amount of the original loan. Sometimes if you've ever gone over whatever your balance or your limit is, so you have a credit card with a $500 limit and you've charged 550 before, then it may say 550 was your high balance, and that'll show lenders that this person has gone over their limit before. So those things are on there. Collections, of course, every inquiry that you've had, which inquiries will stay on your credit report for 2 years. They'll stay on there. The credit bureaus no longer, excuse me, the credit bureaus no longer look at them or count them against you after 12 months, but they stay on there for 2 years. So all of those things are on your credit report. The type of account, meaning if it's joint account, if you're a co-signer, if it's an authorized user, all of those kinds of things are going to be on your credit report. If it's an individual account, just you, it'll be shown on your credit report. Buy here, pay here places and renter centers, they're not on your credit report. Places like that, they're just not on your credit report. So if you think, I'm going to get a card that's going to help me with my credit, and it's a buy here, pay here place, that's not going to show up on your credit report. Typically, you can ask, but most of those places don't report to the credit bureau. Since I said income's not on your credit report, it has no bearing on your credit score either. So I was talking to somebody one day, and they were saying that, they were alluding to the fact that their income was part of what makes up their credit score. It's not. So it doesn't make a difference how much money you make or don't make. It has nothing to do with what your credit score is going to be. So it doesn't hurt you in that regard or help you in that regard. No credit equals bad credit. So if you don't have any credit at all, you basically got bad credit. They have nothing to judge you off of, so they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Paying off your car can lower your score. So I know it's bass backwards. I like to say that it's bass backwards. You fulfilled your obligation, never was late, anything of that nature. But paying it off, especially if that was the only loan you had, it does hurt your credit score. That doesn't mean you should keep it. You should keep a loan or what have you. Pay those bad boys off because that's money in your pocket. But yes, it can hurt your credit score at least for a little while. It'll drop it a little bit. Your interest rate is determined by your credit score. It's pretty much across the board anywhere. Your credit score also determines if you'll get approved or not. So it's usually the first thing that they're looking at is what your credit score is when you put in an application anywhere. Your credit score impacts employment. Yes, it can impact your employment. Oftentimes you fill out these applications, they'll say we'll do a background check, and part of that background check could include a credit report. So they can't see your scores there, but they can see who you owe, how much you owe, all those kinds of things. They can see those things. It can impact whether you can rent an apartment or not. It can impact if you can buy a car. It can impact a promotion on the job. So you're trying to go from fries to the cashier, then you got a bad credit report. You may not be able to go there because they think you're gonna steal some money to take care of your debt and obligations. Let's see, it impacts the deposits on utilities that you have. So you move, you get a new utility company. You go from IPL to ATL, and now you got a different utility company. They're going to look at your credit score to determine if they need to collect a deposit from you. Also, deposits on your cell phone, same thing. Your credit score even can impact your insurance rates. So if you got a bad credit score, you go and get that new car and it's shiny, it's red, and they charge you 20% interest because you got bad credit, then your insurance is going to be higher as well. It's already a red car, you drive a whole lot, and then you got bad credit as well. They're going to charge you a little bit more on your insurance rate. So, TransUnion phone number. You can always call any of these places. TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. TransUnion's number, 800-916-8800. Experian, 888-397-3742. You don't always have to send a letter if it's something simple, for sure. Equifax, 800-685-1111. That's 800-685-1111. What does FICO stand for? Fair Isaac Corporation. Debt utilization should be under 30% on your credit card of your credit card limit. The lower the better, of course. Do not close your older cards. Don't close them at all. People with the best scores have between 4 and 6 credit cards. Doesn't mean they have a balance on them all, but they have between 4 and 6 credit cards. Length of history is not from the time of your oldest credit account, but it's the average of your accounts altogether. So it might be difficult for you to fill it out, but if you're with, say, Credit Karma, they give you what your length of history is on there. The average credit score is 700 in the country right now. The state of Minnesota has the highest credit scores. The state of Mississippi has the lowest credit scores. The credit bureaus have 30 days to investigate your disputes if you file it online. They got 35 days if you do it by mail. The FCRA, that's the Fair Credit Reporting Act, that's what it stands for. It was passed into law in October of 1970, so it goes back a long way, and they've had plenty of amendments since then, most of which have been positive for us, the consumers. 90% of lenders use FICO to evaluate your credit worthiness. So don't worry about necessarily worrying about Vantage Score all the time, because 90% of the lenders use FICO to do it. Store credit cards are a little easier, I mentioned that before, to obtain than bank cards if you need to get a credit card. Only apply for credit when you absolutely need it. When searching for a home or a car, you have 14 days to look at your credit, to search for interest rates and whatnot. You got 14 days to do as many times as you want to, and it only gets counted against you as if it was one inquiry. All of them will show up. If you do 30, all of them will show up, but you only get deemed as if it was one inquiry, and that's only if you're searching for a vehicle or if you're searching for a mortgage. Authorized users are a great way to jumpstart your credit report or to restart your credit to become an authorized user. If you max out or you're over the limit on your credit cards, that's very bad for your credit score. It's definitely going to take a dip. If you file, we talked about bankruptcy before. If you file Chapter 13, that stays on your credit report for 7 years. If you file Chapter 7, that stays on your credit report for 10 years. Newer credit models remove collections from your calculation. I think I already told you guys that. They'll move that from there. Obtaining a credit limit increase can also lower your debt utilization. So you don't always have to pay it all the way down. Sometimes if you get an increase in your limit and don't spend it, then that'll help with your utilization as well. The date of your first delinquency is when it starts for that your credit. So you got 7 years for it to be on there if you did something bad. The date of first delinquency. So not when you see that a credit agency got it and put it on your credit report, but the date of first delinquency, which could have been 6 months prior, could have been 9 months prior, but that's when your 7 years start. So you got to watch out for those things. Sold or transferred accounts do not start the clock over. So if you had one collection agency and then it gets sold to somebody else and it gets sold to somebody else, it doesn't start the clock over when they get it. They only get 7 years period for your credit report. Now, different states have different statutes. They can only collect on you for 3 years or 5 years. Sometimes it's 15 years. But as far as your credit report is concerned, it's 7 years. And that's when it starts, when you first are delinquent. Yes, you can negotiate and settle to pay less on anything that you owe. Delinquent accounts and even current accounts. You can settle and pay a little less. Sometimes it's good for you. Sometimes it's not. There are tax implications sometimes. So on collections, I always push for a settlement. I was listening to a guru, a credit guru recently. He has way more followers and listeners than I do, and he was saying never ever settle a collection account. I disagree with him. His point was to never settle with a collection account because then they won't remove it from your credit report. I say that's not necessarily the case. I try to settle and have them remove it from my credit report. That's part of negotiation. So if they come back and say, we will remove it, but we won't take any money off, then I have that option. If they say, yes, we will take some money off, but we won't remove it, then there's another option. You make your choice. Which one is going to be best for you? Which one do you want to do? And so I'm in the camp that says negotiate each and every time. Save yourself some money if you can, and have removed from your credit report. So look, that's over 100 things. We way past time as usual. Thank you guys for coming in and listening to all 100. Or if you just listen to one show, I appreciate it. I hope this show came through. I'm looking at my microphone and it's bouncing all over the place, so I hope it came through. So again, thank you guys for coming in and listening to the 800 Credit Scoring Man Show, the 100th show of the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I appreciate each and every one of you. You know that I do. Before I get out of here, you know how I got to do it. Kobe, Cameron, and Carter, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm out.